Good morning, everybody. 8:06 a.m. It is August 5th. Welcome to my channel. 2 huge trend days in a row. A lot of short covering. SPY and ES at all-time highs. NASDAQ not near them. Yesterday I talked about my weekly expected move indicator, and I said be careful because other stocks have hit their expected moves. Now those stocks I talked about didn't go much higher. However, the indexes did. And I said if we did push through and push way above, this could really get crazy to the upside because it's not priced in. So far, that's what's happening. Pretty nuts. Now, AMD and SpaceX both reported earnings. AMD is down, even though they had decent earnings. SpaceX is down. They had decent earnings, but the capex spending market didn't like. And related to that is Elon Musk said he's not going to use AMD anymore and exclusively use NVIDIA, which that's not good, right? For AMD for right now. So that's what's going on. After today, you have Western Digital and SanDisk, some memory stocks that report earnings. So interesting to see how they do. And this, I didn't have a trade for the second day in a row. I mean, there was again not really a pullback and a monster range. I mean, 130 point range in the ES. That's insane. Just going up. Just going up. And a 748 point range in the NASDAQ just going up. That is crazy. And no pullback. No meaningful pullback. That is crazy. Okay. That is now 4 days in a row being up. Okay. Obviously, this can't continue forever, but the momentum is definitely there. Okay. So that's what's going on. Let's get into it. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and bond profile to find structure in the markets, along with supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is my edge. It's where I come up with my game plans. Once that market opens up, I use market internals to let me know where money flows are going off the open. Also, a little ICT, a little Anchor VWAP, my weekly expected move indicator that I give away for free for Thinkorswim on my Discord, along with the gamma flip points, also give away for free on my Discord, all wrapped into one. I have my own proprietary trading system. Okay. Now, hopefully you join me every morning. Subscribe, set that alert. Do this every morning. Give you the market story, the market news, the economic calendar, technical analysis, and I always give you the long and short trade scenarios in the ES and the NASDAQ futures later on in the stream. Of course, if you want to join and have more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord. It's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. Let's go to the futures watch list now. Okay. Silver is moving up 3.5%. Gold up 2.5%. VIX is up 1.5%. Dow is up 0.45. ES up 0.42. Crude up 0.42. 30-year bonds are being bought. Russell's up 0.21. Nasdaq's up 0.14. Dollar's down 0.16. Bitcoin down 0.19. Ethereum down 0.27. And 10-year yield is down 0.5%. Moving on to the Max 7 Plus list. Eli Lilly reported earnings this morning. They're up 5%. Meta's up 1.8. Netflix up 1.73. Nvidia's up 1.65. Google up 1.60. Amazon up 1.41. Okay. Microsoft 0.89. Some laggards here. Broadcom down over 0.5%. Tesla down 0.86. Micron down almost 2%. Intel down 3.35%. AMD down 8.84% after those earnings. Like I said, Elon Musk said he will not use AMD anymore and exclusively use NVIDIA. Top sectors. NEM mining stock up 4.37%. Salesforce up 1.5%. Walmart up 0.86%. United Healthcare up 0.48%. Costco up 0.44%. Who's lagging today? Qualcomm down 1.64%. And Uber's down 4%. Why is Uber down 4%? I guess they had earnings. Okay, so Uber's down. All right, ready? Let's move on. Sectors. Healthcare up 1%. That's your Eli Lilly. Discretionary up 0.74. That's your Amazon. Basic materials. That's your like metals, right? Materials up 0.48. So everything is up basically, but semis. With AMD being weak, Intel being weak, Micron being weak. Okay, and that little list I tell you about, DRAM, which is memory stocks, is down 3% this morning. SK Hynix is down 2.84. Okay, SanDisk is down 1.90, and the South Korean ETF is down 1.48. Let's see if I can show you what I'm talking about instead of just right here. Okay, that's what I was talking about there. So right here, ServiceNow is up. Soulforce getting love this morning, Mag 7. Right, this is the other list I tell you guys about. There's a South Korean market down 1.5%. Okay, and you can see SanDisk, SK Hynix, DRAM all down. SpaceX down 10%. Okay, market didn't like that capex spending. All right, let me change that back to what I always have it on. Alrighty, let's move on to some economic calendar. All right, so 30-year mortgage today went up to 6.80 from 6.76. We had ADP employment change today. Consensus 70 came in. I'm sorry, it didn't even come in yet. Oh, it's going to come out in 2 minutes. My bad. 10 a.m. You have ISM Services PMI. We also, if I do to a 1-star at 9:45, we do have global composite PMI and global services. So 9:45 and 10 a.m. is the main one though. Okay. Looking at Trump's schedule today, I don't really see anything right now that makes me think anything. Okay. Um, looks like Fed Kashkari at 8:10 a.m. says, I believe now is the time to start slowly moving interest rates up. Interesting. I'm surprised the market didn't have a bigger swing lower with that statement. Um, Interesting, right? All right. There's really nothing. There was a fresh threat against Middle East shipping, tempered optimism over U.S.-Iran talks. That's why crude is up, but it's not skyrocketing up. So that's what's going on there. All right. Let's, like I talked about earlier, quick earnings, right? AMD, SpaceX, Arista all reported yesterday. Kratos was all as well. Eli Lilly, Shopify, Uber, Disney all reported this morning. Okay, SanDisk after the close, Western Digital, AppLovin, Mercado Libre. Tomorrow before the open, ConocoPhillips, D-Wave, Datadog, Celsius. What else here? Fiserv. That's before the market opened tomorrow. All right. Let me see if I have an updated list here for Wednesday. That is not updated. Yeah. What else do I want to talk about? I already talked about why SpaceX and AMD are down. Like I said before, SpaceX capex spending and AMD had decent earnings, but market didn't like that Elon Musk was talking about not using their chips anymore. Okay, I think we can move over here to let's look a little dispersion index here. Let's go to my spread here. So the spread has moved down. Okay, it was all the way up here, so dispersion has come down, right? Core 3M is still at significant lows here, but has moved up. So that's what the move down happened. But let's just see what happens here. I mean, the markets are getting more correlated, so we have to see. We have to see, right? Let's look at some breadth. You can always look at some breadth here. All right, let's go to 20-day moving average. Oh, yeah. All right, so yesterday went up to 68% of stocks over their 20-day simple moving average. Once you get into the 80s, 70s, high 70s, get ready because the market's kind of overcooked a little bit. And again, I always say those lightly because the markets can always do more than we thought. 69% of stocks over their 50-day moving average starting to get overall breadth, strength, right? We've been getting that now. So hence the S&P making all-time highs, right? So if we want to look at the bullish percent index now, should match these numbers kind of quick. Yeah, look at that. Look at that move yesterday. 69% of stocks on buy signals. This is starting to get frothy. Okay, look at the previous times we went up to the 67%. We're above these two levels, right? What followed there? You can see we pull back. We pull back. Okay, so that's what I was saying yesterday. Be very careful. NDX. Look at the NDX. It was down. I mentioned this prior to me going on vacation. I said, watch when it goes down to the 30% on buy signals and look at this turn. It's already overbought. It's already above 69, 60, it's at 69% on buy signals. Okay. Now, it could stay there for a little bit, but doesn't stay there for long generally based on history. All right, let's drill one more down into tech. All right, technology sector. Now, this is an equal weight. Obviously, all bullish percent index is looking at equal weight. 78% on buy signals of the technology sector. Once we get into the 80s, you don't stay there very long. Okay? So who knows? These are just all data points. I don't know. Remember I said healthcare and financials are also getting a little bit, look at that, 80% still on buy signals, and the financials 85%, just holding up there. Okay? So we'll have to see. Okay? We're going to move on to market internals recap. There's really not much to talk about here. These were just super bullish internals yesterday. Okay, super bullish. Everything is green. When you have readings in my my WAD indicator here, when you're in the 600s, that is not very common. Equal weight and market cap weight working together. 4-to-1 of volume going into buy up stocks or down stocks in the Nasdaq exchange. 2-to-1 in the NYSE. It's just you're not going down. The thing is, when you're doing this, look at this. This is obviously a 5-minute chart, but that it rode the 5-minute 9 EMA all day, right? So you're just not going to go down, but these are very shallow pullbacks, which is very hard to determine if, all right, I'm long. It's very hard, right? So I didn't have a trade. It's all good. All good. All right, let's go to the daily charts now. All right, market's nuts here. We were consolidating in this range for months, and with 4 candles, we broke out. That is crazy. And look at the weekly expected move. Blew through it. So that means now all bets are out the window. We could really cook. Right? I said if it had to play around here in order to be like this level to matter, well, it crushed it. So this was not priced in, this move. It crushed it. Okay? Where are we now? We're gapping up again. This is, like I said, we're starting to get some very poor structure below here. So this could get very nasty if there's some kind of negative that comes out. There's not much foundation here, okay? But we are gapping up again. We're at 775 right now. We're all the way up here. It's pretty nuts. Are we going to make 800 SPY? That's interesting, right? Let's look at futures now. So we got rid of these demand zones. I mean, supply zones. I'm sorry. Crushed them. Okay. We have no supply, no resistance. We are all-time highs. Okay. Qs. So look where the Qs stopped yesterday. Daily supply zone. Okay. You did take out and close above the 50-day moving average. You did break this secondary trend line here, but you hit. See, this is weekly levels. This would be a weekly resistance area in the 725, 726 area. Okay. So where are we now? We're at 724.83. We're right at yesterday's highs. Okay. Right at yesterday's highs. We are not near all-time highs in Qs. All right. Let's look at the NASDAQ futures. All right. We did take out that daily supply. We're in another daily supply here. Okay. 30,000. Good psychological level. Do we break that? Right. We have two weekly highs around the 30,050. Right. 353s. We need to break that. Okay. This is not over in the NASDAQ futures. Okay. But this is quite a move. This is quite a move. Over to 50. Okay. You can see the 9 EMA is almost crossing the 20. Let's see. Let's see what happens here. Okay. All right. That's your futures. Now we're going to look at the hourly charts now. There's really not much to talk about here. Some notables here. Okay. Let's go to the hourly charts now. Some notable. Okay. Well, we'll get that. We'll get to that. I'll mention something right now in a second. Let me get my little marker tool out. You can see we just took out the supply zone there. Okay. So that is crazy. Right there, that structure. That is just buy, like short covering craziness. Okay. We're making all-time highs again after this consolidation, right? So, we are consolidating, moving up, consolidating, moving up, consolidating, moving up, right? So, but that right there, oof, that is not, that will probably be taken care of at one point. Okay. Now, the most traded price of the week is still at 76.30s right here. So, what's important is you want the market to move the most traded price of the week up here. Because if it can't do that, it's going to return back here. Let's see if it can do it. Right? Markets don't, this is not most normal market movement. It's not. But momentum is definitely with the bulls. And it's not a very good idea to start shorting all-time highs. It just usually doesn't really work out too good. Okay. On the NASDAQ front, remember, NASDAQ's not out of the woods at all. It's not at all-time highs, not even close. Okay. We're in overhead supply right now. And even this morning, it's relatively weaker. Okay. It has had a nice run. And we did make it over to 293s yesterday. That's why I said that I had to go over it. Now, we're battling the most traded price of the month, the 29844s. Or let's just call them the 29845s. It's easier. 29845s. Now, bullish over that, but you're in a very highly traded area from the past, right? We zoom out. Look what we're at in the middle of this range. And the level to talk about is like the 30050s, right? That resistance, or the 6360s. That is some serious resistance there. It's just a lot of overhead supply. Like I said, it can go, but this is pretty crowded. We'll have to see. I really don't know. Okay. All you want to see is the acceptance over the 29845s. That's really what really has to see happen here. Okay. And again, this structure right here, oof, if there's any weakness, this could get taken away very easily. So be careful. Okay. Insane is right, Mr. Documents. All right, let's go to the market profile line profile now. So here's our market profile line profile. And we're gapping up again. Okay. That range is so big from yesterday, and it seemed like there was nothing to do. And I'm like 129-point range, and I had nothing to do. Look at all those single prints. And this is emotional buying. You can see the volume really didn't spend too much time anywhere. Okay. Let me make this a little smaller so I can show you what I was talking about earlier. Okay. So now let's look at a couple things here. Let's get right into scenarios now. Yes, long short trade scenarios. Okay. First thing I'm noticing, obviously we're gapping up, so we mark off gap fill 77.86. Mark off yesterday's 50% retracement 77.20s. Okay, we're at all-time highs now. And generally, overnight session all-time highs are not secure. Usually make an all-time high in the regular trading hours. Okay, let's break out the session. The session's pretty balanced. It's pretty balanced. Okay, there's no need to fight this. All right, no need to fight this. Now, again, I was mentioning earlier, 76.30s, let's call them, is the most traded price of the week in the ES. Notice the volume here. We have not been able to move the most traded price of the week up here. Now, the candidate is the 775s, but we haven't done that yet. Okay, now time can take care of this. And basically, what I'm saying here is, remember, this is value for the week, and price is here. If price can't pull value up, right, price will return back to value. It's like a rubber band. Okay. You need to establish a new most traded price of the week up here to make the move more solid. Okay. It gives it a base. Okay. Now you have a candidate here. I'm just pointing that out. Okay. Now there's a lot of single prints and poor structure throughout this session. Okay. Now introduce little elephant on a toothpick. Okay, so basically why I mentioned that is this is your elephant and this is your toothpick. And a toothpick should not hold up an elephant, right? But it cuts both ways. If this toothpick holds up, that's bullish. Okay? That is bullish, and you want to invest money in that toothpick. All right? So that's how you look at it. It's not, oh my God, Steve's talking about the elephant on a toothpick. I need to short. No, cuts both ways. And how do you tell that is if the market's super weak and you can see the volatility in the tempo moving lower, yeah, this can get cleaned out pretty quickly, right? So because there's nothing to stop the market. There's not big consolidations here, right? But if the market does find support there, and that is bullish then, because it's not supposed to. Okay. So that being said, let's get into some scenarios. Okay. So we do have demand here. Happens to be at gap fill. All right. Yesterday's highs. All right. So Remember I said overnight highs are not secure for all-time highs. So if we get a pullback into this demand and fill the gap, again, easy as easy can be. The close from yesterday happens to be the most traded price of yesterday, the 7775s. All right, I know the 7773s is the close, but we're rounding here. If you get support here, boop, and a higher low, you go long, you target 7805s. That's the overnight highs. Make new all-time highs in the regular trading hours and see if you can still melt up today. Now again, we are running on fumes. There is going to be a day where we pull back. Correct. Okay. Maybe it's today. I don't know. I do not know. Now, if, okay, make this mini bull bear line the 7775s. Okay. 7775s. Okay. If the market can take those out, right? But this is a long scenario. So if it takes that out, right, I think you do get some type of little quick correction. If you go into this bullish value gap at 7760s and you find support, right, like this, higher low, and the market's not weak, you target the overnight highs, 7805s, and you just go try to show your stop. Okay, now remember, I talked about all the poor structure in this yesterday. It's a ton of it. I would say above 7721, which is the 50-cent retracement of yesterday, all those pullbacks would be viable if we come down there quickly and find support. Okay, so any pullback into this single prints, okay, or the bullish value gaps is bullish. Now, but that needs to be quick. You don't want to mosey down there, and you have to see internally who's getting money flows, right? If I see the market's not very weak and we're just getting a quick correction, I'm not going to be excited to short. I'm going to look excited to go long. Okay. But if it moseys on down there and you're like, ooh, this market's starting to get a little weak and you're starting to go into that toothpick, it can really go down bad. Okay. All right. That's what I'm looking at for longs. Shorts. Okay. We have no overhead supply, right? We have no resistance. All right. So how would I play this? If I really want to go, you know what? I want to be sure of my short. Well, I'm going to look for one, take out the 77.75s. The most traded price yesterday and yesterday's close. You take out this, you fill the gap, right? And what I'd like to see, take out the overnight lows, 77.60s, and then I'd like to see the market find acceptance here, right? And I'd like to see the market have tech be weak specifically. Okay. And then maybe you get one retest of the 77.75s and the market's still weak. That could be a short. That's when you can ride that and go all the way down to yesterday's lows, and then there's an unfilled gap down there. That would be pretty crazy. Okay. That is pretty crazy. Now, I'd probably want to see all that taken out and get that retest in order for it to give me confidence of trying the short. But I definitely want to see money coming out of tech and memory stocks. Okay. Otherwise, I think it's a fool's errand to just try to short this. This doesn't make sense. Okay. I've tried it before. You want to be smart. You want to feel like, yes, I nailed it. Could it work? Sure. But it's hard to fight momentum, right? I'd rather be going with the current, right? Not upstream. So that's the ES. Let's move on to the NASDAQ. Now, NASDAQ is relatively weaker this morning. Remember, SpaceX is down, AMD, semis are down. They're not down big, but the different picture here. We're not even in the same universe with both of them. We're not at all-time highs. Okay? We're inside yesterday's range. inside yesterday's range. We're in supply. But okay, let's just get right into the scenarios of the Nasdaq here. Okay, let's break out the session. We're going to go over some levels here that we just talked about earlier. Okay, your 29845s. This level. Acceptance above the level is bullish. Okay, acceptance above it is bullish. Right now, we're finding acceptance above it. That is bullish. However, you are in heavy overhead supply. That's why it's having a hard time going higher. Now, this momentum has been pushing out major supply zones all the way up. So it's not like it can't take it out. But this is the marker, right? 29845s. You also have the 297s here. I talked about the 293s. These are all high volume nodes from the past, right? So if the price is here and you're above all these nodes, high volume nodes, it's bullish. There's no argument there. Okay, that's how you have to look at market. This is like the market structure, the posture, however you want to call it. This is how you can see, oh, we're accepting price above the most traded price of the month. This is bullish. You can't argue it. All right, I'm not telling you I'm predicting something. I'm telling you it based on data, right? Now, the most traded price of the week is still not up here. So way down there somewhere. Okay. Again, same thing. If the market can't move the most traded price of the week up, price can't make value follow price. Price returns the value. Okay. Now remember, we have plenty of single prints. Okay, in the profile from yesterday, emotional buying. Okay, emotional buying, and then I talk about elephant on a toothpick. Same thing goes here. Poor foundation. Okay, poor foundation. I would say, okay, two lines in the sand here. Your 29845s. You lose the 297s. That would probably be put into this toothpick into question. Under 297s, I'd be like, oh boy, this could get nasty. Okay. Now, we have a very balanced profile in the overnight. So that's equals buyers and sellers. And we're trading around the most traded price of the month. So how are we going to play this? Well, right here, there's such heavy supply, but I know momentum's on the side. I'd really like to take care of some of this before I go long, but I know I might not have a shot at it just because of the momentum, right? But semis are relatively weaker. So, obviously we always have a little bit of a puzzle, right? So if I'm going to go long, okay, what do I want to see? Well, number one, acceptance above the 29845s. We have that checked, but we are in heavy supply, okay? So what I like to do a lot of times is remove some of that. So if there is a push and you're like, oh man, just took out the overnight highs, right? Now you do have a naked VPOC, which is a most traded price of a day that's never been tested before. That price is around 350, 30050. Remember, that's also a big time resistance in the market. Okay. So what could happen here? What I'd like to see is remove a lot of this supply and then you get a pullback. Now you can get a pullback to yesterday's highs, 29956s, and that's your long. Right? Now, what if you come up there and you pull back deeper, right? And you're like, uh-oh. Well, guess what? All I care about is if we hold the 29845s. If we come down here into this, there's a demand right here as well, and zoop, and retest the 29945s, that's a long as well. And see if the NASDAQ can start to do catch up. Okay. Now, yesterday's midpoint is 29582s. Like I said, just like the ES, that is your right? You have a bunch of poor structures above here. I would say anything quick, right? Anything quick. So if this market comes up, breaks 29845, okay? Now, anywhere in these fair value gaps and you get support is a long, okay? But like I said, though, you don't want to spend any time below 297. Below 297, below 29582s, I wouldn't be that ecstatic about a long. Okay, but I'll just use 297 in this scenario. Come down 297s, right? And you get support. But this needs to be quick. I don't want us to mosey down here. Retest 297. You go long, you target the 29845s and see if you can just go higher. Okay? Like I said though, quick moves down and not a very weak market is viable pullbacks. Ride that momentum. Okay? Shorts. Now, the short is a little more viable here in the Nasdaq. You have overhead supply, and we have a major level here. However, obviously, momentum is with these markets, right? FOMO kicks in, like maybe hedge funds and stuff like that didn't think we would be up here or like are late to the party. They have to like show that they're in there too. We'll have to see. Okay, but so one thing here, what I would look at is that if we pushed up, took out the overnight highs, right? Swept them and hit that 3050 area, the 350s, 30050s. There's a key resistance there. If you come up there and boom, get a nasty wick, right? Lower high, and the market is showing you that it's not very strong, this is where you target the 29845s. Okay. Now, if you see tech starting to get outflows, this is where it could get very, very nasty. If you lose the 294.5s, right, and you're going through all this poor structure here, because you will, and you meet the 297s, okay, take some profits there, hold some runners, right, because this is where it gets nasty. If you do this and retest 297s, this could just be all taken back and go down to yesterday's lows, 292s. Okay. Conservative, right? Let's say you're like, I don't know this market, I'm not sure about it. Well, what you need to see is acceptance below 29845s, acceptance below 297s. So it would look something like this. Take it out, 29845s. Okay, okay. Retest 29845s. That could also be the short. And one other one would be take out 29845s and 297s. Find some acceptance, retest 297s, go short also to yesterday's lows. Okay. This is all scenarios, folks. I don't know if this happens. That's it. Okay. Let's recap real quick. All right. So in the ES, 7775s is the mini Bill Bear line. And remember, the 7721s, you just don't want to find any kind of acceptance below that. I would think that would be your last pullback to go long if we come down there, okay, and the market's not that weak. Okay, remember, overnight highs are never secure as a regular trading hour. All-time highs are never secure in overnight sessions. You usually make all-time highs in regular trading hour sessions, always. Okay, so remember that. Okay, momentums are with the bulls and the Nasdaq. Remember the levels we're talking about here. The 29845 is the most traded price of the month. To find acceptance over that, it's very bullish, right? You get in trouble if you find acceptance below the 297s. Remember the midpoint of yesterday, 29582s. I wouldn't be that excited with pullbacks to go long below that. Okay. And we have overhead supply in NASDAQ. So moving up, they have resistance above us. Can it smash it? Of course, with this momentum. Okay. Hopefully I get a trade today. I don't know. All right. This market's pretty nuts. All right. Smash the like button if you enjoyed that analysis. That'd be much appreciated if you do that. Okay. As always, join me every morning. Subscribe, set that alert. Give you the market news, the economic calendar, leaders and laggards, technical analysis, and I just gave you the long and short trade scenarios in the ES and NASDAQ futures. All right. If you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. I should be going live around 9:45 a.m. today. Please come join me. All right. Now, we got our plan. I just gave you my scenarios. Hopefully, you have a plan. All right. Now, remember, no trade is a trade, which I've been practicing 2 days in a row now. Hopefully, I get to take one today. Just remember, momentum can go a lot farther than you think. Right? That's why I'm not like licking my chops when I tell you elephant on a toothpick. I used to. I just look at it like, hey, I know that's possible, but it's not something I'm like licking my chops over. I just know that what I need to see, there's criteria I need to see in order to take advantage of that, right? Because it cuts both ways, right? It could also be a great long opportunity, all right? You can't look at it like, ooh, toothpick. I said it cuts both ways, right? And you be able to tell if sellers are present and they're strong. If they are strong, yeah, that doesn't stand a chance, that toothpick, all right? It should not hold up the elephant. So, remember, acceptance below 297 is no good for NASDAQ. Quick moves down can get bought. Okay, that's a gift to judge it. All right, that's it for me, folks. If I don't see you in my Discord, I'll be going live, like I said, around 9:45 a.m. I'll see everybody tomorrow morning. All right. Remember, we have Western Digital and SanDisk earnings after the close. That should be interesting. All right. Everybody, have a great day.